Hey, how's it going, guys? This is part 5 of my look back at the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, we've already covered Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations on the channel so far. So if you haven't seen those yet, please check out the link in the description to the playlist to watch them, or the top right corner of the video. And if you don't care, then let's just jump straight into Assassin's Creed 3. You know, the 11th game in the franchise so far. Jesus Christ, how do numbers work? So with our charismatic entrepreneur Italian boy in the rearview mirror, players were eagerly excited to see where Assassin's Creed went next, with a very judgmental gaze on the new possible protagonist. One that I actually really liked. For some reason, I did not get along with Connor in my first playthrough, but this time around, I actually really liked him. He has some critical flaws, which I'll get into, but honestly, a solid assassin. So development for Assassin's Creed 3 started way back in 2007. The devs really wanted to cover the American Revolution. The blueprint was drawn up even before Assassin's Creed 2 hit shelves, a classic Ubisoft trait. They're always working like 4 games ahead of themselves, and it always doesn't work for them. The issue is the developers kept getting split up into different teams to work on titles for the Ezio trilogy. One day you could be working on the next Assassin's Creed, and then you're told you have to go work on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And then you come back to Assassin's Creed 3 just to be told you're going to Assassin's Creed Revelations now. This honestly confused and annoyed a lot of developers. They also started to get some serious burnout once Revelations dropped and all the teams got back together to finally finish Assassin's Creed 3. They were sick of Ezio at this point. This led to them wanting to make a polar opposite assassin this time around, which meant that the guy had to be less charismatic, way more reserved, less fun, morally rigid, and grounded in a more indigenous culture to kind of install some culture shock to the player, especially after the more flamboyance of Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Now you take this into account and you can already start to see why people didn't really dig the new guy right out the gate. The developers were also getting really sick of trying to connect the modern day arc in the Creed titles up until now. And to be fair, nowadays people do miss this, and I'm one of those who really liked the connection to the modern day plot. But you see, during the launch of these games, people didn't really care about it. All players wanted was more historical plot beats, more new characters, different locations, which to be fair, Ubisoft did listen to, and now that's all we get for these titles. Like I said, I'm more the minority here. I like the games connecting via the modern day, and having someone in the present looking back to the past to save the future. I think that's pretty dope writing for a story theme. But the game's finally out, and I honestly have quite a lot to say about it. Like I said, I did not get on with AC3 originally. I stopped playing the franchise because I really didn't get along with AC3, and I have not touched a single Assassin's Creed title after that. And my opinion's kind of changed a bit. So let's take a look at the game to finally finish Desmond's story arc that's been building for over 5 years at this point, across centuries in game. And I'm sure it's going to be underwhelming and piss me off royally. It's Assassin's Creed 3. So first off, let's talk about how I'm going to be playing Assassin's Creed 3. You see, I asked you guys in the last video which you would prefer to see me cover, the original AC3 or the remastered version that released a few years later. Now, in true Ubisoft fashion, the original title basically got blacklisted after the remaster was launched, which made it near enough impossible to get a copy nowadays. Unless you already owned a hard copy or can find one secondhand, you're kind of screwed and have to play the remaster. I hate this lost media BS so much, it needs to stop. Now, luckily, I bought the original AC3 years ago in one of my many Steam sale binges. You know, when you buy a bunch of games that you're likely never going to play. So when you guys said I should play the original over the remaster, I thought I was golden. I already had a copy. The issue is I never activated the game, so when I went to play it, Steam told me I had to boot up Ubisoft Connect to activate the title. Fine, I've done that for all the other games I've covered on the channel, so why not? The issue is Ubisoft Connect would then tell me that the game needs to be activated in Steam. But Steam doesn't do that. It's already activated on Steam. So I got stuck in this loop of both these platforms telling each other to activate this copy of the game, and I could not get it to run. Now, I looked online, most people had the same issue as me, and the only real fix that actually worked was contacting Ubisoft's customer support and opening a ticket with them. This means it could take weeks for it to even get looked at, which I didn't have time to do. And from what I can read, the fix more often than not was just players being given a free copy of the remaster instead of a way to actually play the original. Again, lost media. absolutely hate it. So I'm sorry in advance, but I will be playing the remastered version for this video. I will say the game runs buttery smooth, way better than any of the previous titles. I didn't have any hiccups through my entire playthrough. There's a few glitches here and there, but honestly, it was more comedic than anything else, but nothing actually kicked me out of the game, which I haven't had in a title so far. Every other game has, for some reason, crashed out, especially if I was playing above 60 frames. But what they did do that absolutely annoys me is the character models. Everything looks like it's been slapped in the face with 3 liters of oil. It's so gross. Look at the comparison here.
The old Balkan file. Though I've managed to restore what's mine, I fear it's ruined. You mean the book? This is no ordinary book.
It's honestly kind of embarrassing. And it's not just the Ken doll models. Yeah, the environment looks absolutely gorgeous in the remaster, but I do feel like it loses that cold, gritty feeling the original had, and what I would expect the American Revolution would feel like. The lighting effects go either insanely hard or just do not work at all. You could be exploring the frontier and get flashbanged by the sun, and then go into an interior where you literally cannot see anything. Like, it's so dark in here. And even at nighttime, who is attacking me? I can't see, dude. It's kind of rough, but there are positives and negatives, so I don't think the remaster is that bad. Wait, is that the water? What did they do to the water? This is like a massive deal in Assassin's Creed 3. I take it back, this remaster is trash. The game opens up directly after Desmond finds the precursor vault at the end of Revelations. And the stress of this journey, man, is really starting to get to our boy. He does not look good. It looks like he's losing his hair. He's got bloodshot eyes, man. I kind of feel bad for him. He looks like me after a 12-game lose streak on Rivals. Obviously, this is just due to better tech with the models. I don't know, he just looks very tired. The gang, now with William, find the vault and jump straight into following a new ancestor of Desmond's, Haytham Kenway. Huh. He looks a little different from the cover art. When I said that they were going for more of a culture shock, I didn't think it would mean my own British culture. I mean, I play these games to escape the hell of being a British lad. With that said though, I absolutely love Haytham. He's an experienced assassin and has some insane aura. He always comes across cocky and arrogant, but it's kind of offset by the posh British mannerisms he has. It's a great combo. Haytham is here at a play to kill Maiko for his pretty little necklace. After a little tutorial of parkour and climbing, we sit up next to him, and honestly, there's something about how gentleman-like Haytham assassinates his targets.
You should have come to me. We would have found another way. Yes. But then you would have known. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. As am I.
Again, I love the idea that even an organization of killers can have this genetic British politeness. It's a step up from just diving out of a crowd with a hidden blade. Haytham puts it in Maiko and then escapes. He heads back to the Order and they tell him that he needs to go to America to find a precursor storehouse that should open up with this key. And while we're over there, there'll be some like-minded individuals that can help us achieve that. Once Haytham hits shore in America, we meet Charles Lee, Thomas Hickey, Benjamin Church, Pitcairn, and William Johnson. These were all historical real-world figures. The game has stopped being subtle with these now. I get there's a lot of big names in the Revolution, but my god, they're just all here. Next, we're going to turn the corner and Benjamin Franklin's going to be standing there. Oh, Jesus Christ! This is my first big issue with Assassin's Creed 3. I find it so hard to connect and appreciate these characters when the game throws so many at you so often. It's like they're really trying to cram as many historical figures as possible into this story, and it gets a bit much to keep track of. We have a bunch of tutorial missions with Haytham and an introduction to, like I said, Benjamin Franklin. That's this game's Diet Da Vinci. He doesn't really do anything other than tells us to go collect his lewd anime collection that's just left in the city. These are this game's collectibles. And you know what's worse than collecting a bunch of meaningless shit? Collecting a bunch of meaningless shit that moves around the map and disappears if you're not fast enough. This is probably the worst way to do collectible hunting. And I have bitched and moaned about the collectibles in these games so much, I'm just gonna say I outright refused to do this one. Haytham is then later tasked with breaking out one of his men from a British fort. He does this by stealing one of their native enslavement convoys. This is where he meets Zio.
I'll see you safe. You have my word.
And it seems Haytham has a thing for women that don't speak. Honestly, checks out for the time period. After saving her and her native friends, we take down Braddock, who was trying to take their land by force. As thank you, she takes us to the precursor storehouse we've been searching for, which is the same vault Desmond and gang are in currently in modern day. But Haytham can't open it, as the key he thought would open it doesn't. It's actually used for a door inside the vault, but he don't know about that. Convinced that there would be a way to get into this vault, he decides to stay in America and build up his organization there as the leader. Not before getting a taste of the land's forbidden fruit. It's Zio. He bangs Zio. The game then hits me a little bit too real and has this British deadbeat.
Me?
No, the other cock Robin.
Impregnate a local girl and then just fucking dips. I thought I was playing a funny Assassin's Creed game in the American Revolution, not reliving my upbringing. He returns to his order and introduces Charles Lee into the fold. And I guess, yep, the dude's gonna lose a finger. Welcome to the Creed, I guess.
Do you swear to uphold the principles of our order and all that for which we stand?
I do.
And never to share our secrets nor divulge the true nature of our work?
I do.
And to do so from now until death, whatever the cost?
I do.
Give me your hand. You are a Templar. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.
What in the Buckingham Palace did he just say? This reveal honestly goes so hard. I mean, we all knew this wasn't the main character. The box art is completely different and the trailers kind of ruined that. I do kind of wish they hid Connor's identity during the marketing for this game. It would have been cool if all they did was push Haytham as the new assassin and then we got the reveal. That would be actually huge, but I guess they couldn't really do that. But yeah, the charming British assassin, or what I thought was an assassin, is actually a dirty, stinking Templar. I love this. Every game, except AC1, really pushes the fact that the assassins equal good and Templars equal stinky. But while you're playing as Haytham, a high-ranking Templar, you don't feel like he's a bad guy at all. They never mention assassins, and in fact, they just refer to themselves as the Order. But the way he looks out for them, how charming he is, how well thought out, and how easy it is to understand his idealisms and motivation. It's so good. You never once think he's a bad guy. You think he is an assassin. It really does show you that these two groups are so similar. Just like with AC1. To me, it shows what Altair clocked all the way back in that game. The Assassin Templars are very similar in their flaws and their objectives. It's brilliant. It's not just a, oh shit, he's a Templar moment. It shakes what the player perceives as a Templar. If they are such the bad guys, how come you didn't know? How come you didn't know you were playing a bad guy, huh? Gamer, what do you think, huh? Not so smart now. It's honestly genius. I can't believe the devs decided to do a 3-hour tutorial. You play as Haytham for like 3 hours and then it just switches to the actual different real protagonist. I can't think of any other games that has done something like that before. I'm telling you, every video, I swear to God. Why is there so much carryover to Kingdom Hearts from Assassin's Creed? It's ridiculous, man. Fine, okay? Guys, if you would like to see me cover the funny Mickey game, let me know in the comments. Happy now? Alright, so after that bombshell with Haytham, Desmond decides to jump out of the Animus and is a little confused, now realizing that he also hails from the Templars as well as the Assassins. Honestly, dude, this shouldn't be a surprise to you after Assassin's Creed 3, but whatever. That plot thread didn't actually go anywhere. He accuses his dad of being a dirty Templar, and to be fair, his father handles it pretty well.
I mean, you're my father, but turns out you're no better than the fucking Templars.
Don't you ever
equate me to those bastards again.
Alright, so the modern day sections, I'm going to try and cover this in one fell swoop, just leaving the ending for when we get there. While you're playing the game, Desmond can jump out of the Animus just like in the previous titles. The goal here is that they're looking for a key in the past, but the gang needs to find the super cubes, these precursor artifacts, because that's all we ever look for in modern day, that power the vault, and he does this by heading out on his own assassin missions. I actually really dig the modern day sections this time around. It's such a nice change of pace from the you just move around a room in present day. And it really starts to show that Desmond is becoming a Super Saiyan equivalent of the assassins. The guy is an absolute beast in this game. Like, the parkour is great, the stealth is really good, and Desmond can take constructive criticism.
Speaking of which, it's the 21st century and you're still running around with only a tiny knife for protection? It's stupid.
Oh shit, you're right. My god, this is so much easier. Each power source he acquires shows us more of Juno trying to experiment and find a way to stop the solar flare from wiping out the world. They tried building shields to stop it didn't work. They tried sacrificing people with the apple and then sending some insane power out at the sun. It didn't work. They tried building better bodies to withstand the flare. It didn't work. Yeah, these guys weren't very smart. But apparently they did manage to figure something out to save the world, which is hidden deep in the vault, so we better head back to the 1700s to find that goddamn key. Like usual, you can chill with the game for some flavor text and some character building, which is quite nice, as well as reading some emails. I didn't do this because I found it boring in each and every game so far, so I'm not doing it now. Or it's the perfect time to get some much needed retcons for the series.
I killed her, you know. I killed Lucy.
Desmond.
Lucy was going to betray us and take the apple back to Abstergo. I saw the satellite launched, I saw them turn it on, and then it failed.
Yeah, this is really it. They really just drop out of the blue that Lucy was a triple agent. She was actually working with Abstergo to betray the gang, and everything Desmond's been doing up to this point until, you know, he puts it in her, was being relayed to Vidic. To be fair, this does kind of clear up an issue I have with Vidic because he hasn't been around for so long. So maybe he didn't need to because he had an agent on the inside, but it's still a bit rough. This was purely done because the actress that mocapped Lucy wanted more royalties if the character was used in later games. The devs, of course, didn't want to do this, so they just decided to kill her off outright. I guess that actress needs to level up her bartering a little more. Also in these sections, Desmond can spend some quality father and son time with his dad.
Such an asshole. Are you thinking about hitting me again?
So now the game shifts from Haytham to Haytham's son as Desmond's next ancestor. His name is,
Right. Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
He goes by Connor later on, so I'll be doing that. Connor is playing hide and seek with his friends in his village till Charles Lee shows up, and now the writers go full on with the Templars being bad again. The character shift here is actually insane.
I could snap your neck, you know. A little more pressure, and pop. The sad little flame of your life extinguished. You are a nothing, a speck of dust. You and all your ilk, living in the dirt like animals, oblivious to the true ways of the world.
The dude was pretty chill when he was hanging out with Haytham, but now goes full literal psycho against a 5-year-old boy. He demands Connor to tell him where his village is located. It's honestly literally 30 feet behind us, but Connor outright refuses and Charles crashes out and decides to burn down the village. Or did he? Doesn't matter, Connor believes this is the case, and he heads back to the village to find his mother burning alive, and after failing to save her, we skip forward to his adult life, where he's far more reserved and angsty. He teaches his bestest buddy in the world, oh, nothing could break the bond between him and...
Right. Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce.
And now I want to talk about the gameplay. I know we're like halfway through the video. The game loves padding, I'm sorry. We did play around as Haytham, but Connor has a few new skills and movements that I want to discuss more because these are what's new to the franchise. Haytham kind of just plays like a better Ezio. Connor's a different beast. Connor is far more agile than any other assassin so far in the series. Dude almost looks like he's dancing in these treetops. which is something Desmond later Sharingans for his own arsenal in modern day. Again, I like the parallels between the jungle movement in modern architecture. I still think a modern ass game would be bloody fantastic. But it's not only mobility, Connor is an absolute beast. This Native American mixed with Britishness is bloodthirsty. This dude can take out armies of soldiers, all on his own. And it's so clean. Just like with the other games, you can do your combo assassinations and finishers. But when it comes to the stealth side, even if you take a more stealthy approach, he's still a far better death dealer than Ezio, Altair, even Desmond. I mean, did you see that? Look, this guy is so cool. The problem is, I always opted for this approach of just going into these fights full send. I never really felt the need to do stealth unless the game forced me to do it. Being sneaky didn't really fit Connor's aura. He can use a bow for lethal stealth kills and a rope dart, which is a baller new item. I love this thing. When you use it in fights, you can do a get over here to move enemies closer to you for a finisher, but you can also use these in stealth to do takedowns from like treetops. It's dope. I hope it keeps coming up in the series. What I hope doesn't come back is the hunting. Now, I get why it's here. It's very fitting for Connor's character, but man, is it so boring to play. So you can hunt animals for their pelts and, well, honestly, anything you can pull out the little guy. And all these materials can be used to craft stuff at the Homestead. Something I didn't do, and that's really it. And there just isn't enough variety with the animals. If you're trying to fill up the frontier decks, you have to hunt every animal in each area, regardless if you've already skinned a rabbit 2 feet away in another section, because apparently it's a different species in this one. I'm sorry, but hunting the same animal that has nothing different than the last one except its postcode is not fun. And the hunting side objectives are just so meh. It's just hunt X amount of animals or snare trap 20 rabbits. It's so monotonous. If you do these though, you do get some big game hunts, which are a little bit more interesting. Like this one here where we have to hunt a bear. Now I've done this several times, but this bear's slightly different. It has a taste for human flesh, which I found quite cool. Though I'm not sure why my horse is freaking out. Dude, it's a manhunter, not a horse hunter. Chill out, bro. This adds a little something different to the hunts, but even these start to become just hunt X animal and that's it. They don't really go anywhere. I don't know, this section just needed to cook a lot more in my mind, but I'll give props to the devs. The frontier just to travel in does look beautiful. Also out in these sections, you can explore catacombs. They make a return, and this time it's as the Captain Kidd questline. And again, these micro dungeons are so good. They're so cinematic. They're fun parkour stages. One even has Connor trying to infiltrate a fort, and he instructs his men to bombard it with explosives and cannon fire while he's still in there looking for treasure. That is baller as fuck. Connor is such a badass, dude. I love his character so much. But again, another issue I have with AC3 is that they have good ideas and they're always linked to a bad idea. It's so weird. To unlock the Captain Kidd quest, which have you do in these micro dungeons, you have to give this old man random trinkets you find in the frontier and cities. And there is so many of these, and you have to collect like 6 each time to get one mission where you can actually have some fun. Arguably the best parts of these Assassin's Creed games are hidden behind a long ass fetch quest. It's like the developers knew how much I loved these sections and how much I hated collectible huntings, and they just said, fuck this guy. Let's make it mandatory he has to do a collectathon to have some actual good times in our games. Thank you, Ubisoft. Means a lot. Anyway, Connor gets a vision from the precursors telling him he needs to go out and find an assassin that goes by Achilles. And by doing this, we'll eventually save his village from the white man. Or will it? Connor heads out, and the first thing I do as him is peacefully acquire a horse. Connor then meets Achilles, who tells him to get off his land. And after we literally start harassing this poor old man, he eventually decides to train us in the way of the assassin, telling us stories of Ezio and how thanks to Ezio and him meeting the precursors, things with the Creed got all out of whack. Honestly, Not wrong. I do hate that that's how probably the best assassin in history is being remembered as, the guy who talked to aliens. Connor eventually gets his robes and the fit is actually dope. I like it a lot. The mix of the assassin white with the tribal decor, mwah, so cool. I was tempted to rock the Ezio gear because this was unlocked from the get-go, and it is my favorite attire, and there's no armor upgrades this time around, so it wouldn't really affect gameplay, but I felt like I should pay respect to Connor's wardrobe, and Ezio had like 3 other games, so it's only fair. So this is home this time around. It's called the Homestead. It's basically the Auditor Villa, but just much bigger. You can build new buildings to attract tourists. You can get workers to join up in the settlement to help your cause. You can do side objectives to level these guys up, and you can recruit more of them in the field. Now, why would you do all of this, you ask? For a crafting system I really didn't use, or even care enough to write more about it in the script. So we get a motherfucking boat. Yeah, this is Achilles' boat, and it's the start of Ubisoft's weird addiction to naval fights. Now, it is pretty good in Assassin's Creed 3, but man, when you get a random weather effect during these missions, it does not half screw you over. During the first mission where you learn how to use this thing, I got the fog weather effect. And like most of this remaster, I can't see a goddamn thing. Everyone's talking like I should see so many boats right now, but all I see is nothing but cloud. It's like I walked into a hipster bar where you're allowed to vape inside. After biting it, the game reset and suddenly the weather was absolutely perfect for the mission. So like I said, it was a random weather effect. It wasn't part of the actual mission. It's kind of annoying that that's something that can actually happen, but all right. The naval stuff is a pretty fun minigame though. I can see why they decided to go full send with it in the next title, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's a shame that they killed it off so quickly with the new IP, Ill. All right, so Connor's character. Like I mentioned, he was built as a sort of anti-Ezio. Far more reserved, far more quiet, and to be fair, that fits his personality. But it does mean he just kind of gets pointed at targets and told to go kill, and he does it. There's never any back and forth. During most cutscenes, he just sort of stands in the corner, showing his resting bitch face.
Docks are an angry place. Testers picketing the latest shipments of British tea.
I find it so funny that this guy with this face was chilling in the same room as the Declaration of Independence was being made. It's such a funny image in my head. Now, this wouldn't be too much of a problem. Like I said, it fits his character. The man is out for revenge. All he wants to do is kill Templars. It's kind of based. But when he does talk a bit more or gets more involved in a plot beat, he comes across as a literal child. He bitches, he moans. It just feels like a complete polar opposite to the badass that was standing in the corner growling like a pit bull. It doesn't kill his character, and it doesn't happen that often, but it is something that when it did happen, I was kind of a bit like, ew, okay. He's still a fun character, and even when he doesn't say anything, watching him just tower over everyone with his insane build is fantastic. NFL needs to give this guy a sponsorship today. So Connor heads to Boston to see if he can find the Templars, and after saving a French dude from the evil tax man, he decides to help them get back at the Brits by throwing away all of their tea. And if there's one way to bitch slap a Brit, it's to throw away their tea. Obviously, this is the Boston Tea Party, a pretty big moment in the American Revolution. Connor, to be fair, doesn't really care about it. The Brits, the Patriots, at this point, he doesn't really give a shit. All he knows is that the Templars are working with the Redcoats, and if he sides with the Patriots at this point, it'll be the fastest way to find them. Like I said, he's got a one-track mind. He wants to kill the Templars and keep his village safe. He hears that William Johnson is trying to take the land from his people, which is obviously not good, and Connor proclaims that he's going to war against the Templars, while he throws a tomahawk into Achilles' house. A little bit rude, bro. Could have found a tree. This is what his people do when they go to war, so it's actually kind of a big point for his character. He's going to war against the Templars. Only once he returns victorious will he remove the tomahawk. We quickly head after Johnson and stealthily take him out. Well, I tried to be stealthy. Once Johnson is dead, we get Connor's first animus death scene. William proclaims that, yeah, he was trying to take the land from the natives, but this was in order to save the people. You see, if they worked with the British, they would have had better lives, and the locals, though, might not have an issue with the natives right now, this understanding probably won't last long, and the locals will probably turn on them and take their land by force anyway. At least this way it's more of a transaction, both sides get something, rather than it just being taken from under their feet. And I think that's brilliant. We all know historically after revolutions, the natives got the rough end of the stick. That's insanely sugarcoating it, but I don't want to dive too much more into it. You can't help but think, sure, probably not, but maybe things would have been better if they did side with the Brits instead. You guys know I love it when the game tries to throw questions at the player as if you are Connor. And like this, it gives you food for thought. Was it the right move? We're not sure. Yeah, William was a bad guy, but was he wrong? We'll never truly know thanks to Connor stepping in, and I love that. So far with this game, the Haytham twist and my utter love for his character, Connor's brutal side, the cleaner gameplay, the anime scenes actually having substance again. AC3 is ticking a lot of boxes and not a lot of the other games have done. I really don't understand why I hated this game so much when I was younger. It does have its bad points. I might have got too caught up on the big open world being kind of empty and the hunt and stuff really not going anywhere. But this is all optional. You can fast travel anywhere so you don't have to get stuck just traveling from location to location. And yeah, we do have the baby side to Connor, but those are few and far between. So far, this game is a solid title. We'll dive more into that as we progress, but our next target is Pitcairn, who is plotting to kill George Washington. We can't have that, so we head after him and give him one hell of a beating. Dude can take axes to the face. After taking him out, we have our next target, which is Thomas Hickey. Now, to find these targets, we've been working pretty heavily with the Patriots. They're starting to think we're one of them. We're not really, but we are starting to agree with their idealisms and think that they are just trying to make the world, or at least this country, better for the locals. Hickey's a bit tricky though.
What's this? Thomas Hickey? Might be. What's it to you? Oh, ain't supposed to be none of your kind left. Suppose I'd best be rectifying that then. Get him!
Chasing him, we both get caught and thrown into jail. We attempt to break out and kill Hickey on the way, but Charles Lee saves him and decides to pin the whole assassination attempt on Washington on our boy Connor. So we get escorted out to get the auditory treatment. All seems lost. Maybe this is the end of Connor, getting wrongly accused. Maybe the Templars won. Maybe all hope is lost. But wait, what's that in the distance? A very obvious ragdoll animation. Dear God, there must be assassins nearby. I like how even when other NPC assassins are around, it looks janky as fuck when they kill someone. How are these guys stealthy, man? Achilles saves us and we do eventually get Hickey. Now again, his Animus dev scene is also great. It's pretty one note, don't get me wrong. It's not too thought-provoking, but you see with Hickey, he doesn't care about what the British want with the land or what the Templars are trying to achieve with the precursors, what Connor's trying to achieve with the assassins. He doesn't care. He just follows the coin. Man just wants to have a beer in one hand and a titty in the other.
Whereas I'm the type of guy who likes to have a beer in one hand and a tea in the other.
Honestly, kinda based. Connor, of course, calls this out as shallow, but Hickey says that what he strives for is something tangible. I mean, he's had it several times in the past and he could have had it several times in the future. It was a goal he could easily achieve and would have something to show for it. Everyone else who's chasing idealisms and their faiths, all they'll ever have is empty hands, and he thinks that that is the more shallow approach. One note, sure, but actually pretty accurate. And again, I can't glaze it enough. I love these death monologues being more than just, hey, I'm evil, you can't stop us. It makes me so happy when they are better written and just more substantial. It makes me more invested in the story and these characters. Alright, we're really getting through our list of targets. Our next target is Benjamin Church. While searching for him, we get dogpiled by Haytham, who's also searching for Benjamin.
Connor, any last words? Wait. A poor choice.
I can't deny my favorite moments in this game are every time Haytham's on screen, I get giddy like a child. The two decide, because their goals intertwine, that they should have a truce of sorts while they both look for church. Not like going to church, like they're not looking for God, but you know what I mean? This means we get to party up with dear old daddy, and look chat, he came home with the milk. These two playing off each other is great. Haytham's nonchalantness and British cringe against Connor's more reserved and like Batman aura. They're such polar opposites, it makes for some really funny situations.
Then what?
Well, they should have come by sea.
Well, they're talking in circles. We're nothing watching as we are.
Then what do you propose we do? March in there and demand answers?
Well, yes.
Ambush!
Connor, little help here? We can interrogate them.
And I know it's not canon, but I like that I made Connor just sit and watch his deadbeat dad get beaten to death. While they're working together, Connor does drop the bombshell that his mother perished under what he thinks was Charles Lee's attack on his village, most likely on Haytham's orders. Now, Haytham actually seems a bit shook by this. He genuinely cared about Zio. It wasn't just a quick pump and dump, he actually liked this woman. He just wasn't about that father lifestyle. He tries to tell Connor that he never planned such an attack and it couldn't have been Charles Lee, but Connor isn't having any of it and shoots him down.
Lee is responsible for her death by your order. And you're sorry.
It's impossible. I gave no such order. I spoke the opposite, in fact. I told them to give up the search for the precursor site. We were to focus on more practical pursuits.
It is done, and I'm all out of forgiveness.
Father and son eventually track down Benjamin Church, and after Haytham does some serious backseat sailing...
Speed, Connor! We need more speed! Perhaps someone with more experience should take the wheel. It's almost as though you want him to escape. It's almost as though you want him to escape. How is it you came to captain a ship, given the way you sail?
Dear God, Dad, shut up. I'm wearing the captain's hat. That means I'm the captain. Do you have a captain's hat? No. We eventually catch up and put it in Benjamin and reclaim some supplies for the Patriots, which Haytham actually does allow Connor to take. What a nice guy. Especially because these supplies actually turns the war in the Patriots' favor against the British, which Haytham's kind of working with. Like I said, I'm really surprised he commits to the deal he made with Connor. He could have just betrayed him here and things would have turned out pretty well for the Templars. Haytham's a man of his word. And it's not wasted on Connor. He comes back from the trip a little confused and starts thinking that Haytham isn't really that bad, and that there could be hope of the Assassins and Templars coming together to achieve their goals. You know, what I've been saying since I covered Assassin's Creed 1. These groups just need to sit down and have a chat. Achilles doesn't approve of this, and Connor leaves after some pretty harsh words.
Who are you to lecture anyone? You locked yourself away in this crumbling heap and gave up on the Brotherhood entirely. Since the day I arrived, you've done nothing but discourage me. And on the rare occasions you've chosen to help, you've done so little, you may as well have done nothing at all.
How dare you!
Then tell me, on whose watch did the Brotherhood falter? Whose inaction allowed the Templar Order to grow so large that it now controls an entire nation?
If I sought to dissuade you, it was because you knew nothing. If I was reluctant to contribute, it was because you were naive. 1,000 times you would have died and taken God knows how many with you. Let me tell you something, Connor. Life is not a fairy tale, and there are no happy endings.
No. Not when men like you are left in charge.
Connor, I get that you're mad, but the dude trained you for years after you pressured him into it. Give some respect, boy. Connor heads off to meet Haytham at Bunker Hill. Haytham still doesn't seem to be able to convince Connor to agree with his methods, so in order to do that, he decides to show him rather than tell him. We cruise up to George Washington, and Haytham steals a letter that he was writing, which was in fact an order to go and take over Connor's village. Haytham also gets Washington to admit that the original attack on his village all those years ago that claimed his mother was in fact on Washington's orders, not Haytham's and not Charles Lee. This absolutely shatters Connor's trust in the Patriots, but also his father, which I think is insanely unwarranted.
Who did what and why must wait. My people come first.
Then let's be off.
No. You and I are finished.
Son.
You think me so soft that by calling me son, I might change my mind? How long did you sit on this information, or am I to believe you discovered it now? My mother's blood may stain another's hands, but Charles Lee is no less a monster, and all he does by your command. A warning to you both. Choose to follow me or oppose me, and I will kill you.
Look, I get he's angry. This was a bit of a gut punch. All of his thirst for revenge was misplaced, but Haytham only just became aware of that original attack on the village. He had no idea that Zio died until Connor told him. And Haytham knowing that it wasn't him or Charles Lee, it probably wasn't a stretch to assume that it was the Pats that did it. All stuff that I feel like he would have told Connor right away if Connor bothered hearing him out. But like I said earlier, he dumps the bombshell on Haytham and then just tells him to shut up, he's not having it. So I don't think he's valid in his anger towards Haytham at this point. Anyway, Connor runs off to save his village yet again, and he tries to stop his people from attacking the Brits because it will be a bloodbath. This eventually leads him to a confrontation with his bestest buddy, but due to Charles Lee whispering that Connor has turned traitor on the village by getting close to the Pats, who are the ones who attacked his village, Connor ruins the trust that the village had in Connor himself, which, I'm gonna be honest, he did actually do that. He helped the group that was responsible for killing so many friends and family in his village. So he's not wrong. Connor tries to convince him, but he's not having it and then has to take him out. This is quite upsetting, and even in death, his friend still says that he's a traitor. Here's the reason why things are going so wrong for the village. And of course, because Charles Lee was mentioned, it adds to the thirst for revenge against him. And honestly, I don't think Charles Lee actually did anything wrong here. He just spoke the truth and left. Sure, he wanted the villagers to attack the Brits, but he wasn't being nefarious. He was actually just speaking pure logic and sense. Anyway, the war is ending in the Patriots' favor. Charles Lee is looking to try and skip town because there's just no point being here anymore. So Connor needs to strike now. Unfortunately, Haytham gets in the way and we are forced to have a very underwhelming boss fight. For some reason, they decided to have both characters hurt in this section, so it's just them throwing each other into boxes for 5 minutes. This could have been such a good fight, man. Two skilled assassins fighting each other, doing counters and trying to kill each other, but not really because they love each other. Like, it would have been so good, but they just don't go with it. And there's this weird screen effect going off the whole time because Connor is technically hurt. I can barely see what's going on, man. Just like everything else in this remaster. Eventually the fight concludes and Connor puts it in his dad. Haytham goes on to say that he won't be remorseful, but is oddly proud of Connor for his determination. Even when it's misplaced and abused, he still commits to what he thinks is right, and he's envious of that. And also that he should have killed Connor first.
I should have killed you long ago.
Father of the year right here. Arguably still a better maternal figure than Desmond's dad. All right, so last up on the chopping block, Charles Lee. The Charles Lee stuff really started to annoy me here. Something Connor loves to do is be close to his targets most of the game in so many situations where he could just strike and take them out and just never does it. To be fair, the Templars are just as bad for this, always opting to draw out these kills and torture them by saying, oh, we're gonna make you be the fall guy for our assassination, or I want you to watch your village burn before I kill you stuff. Like, there's no reason for this at all. These guys hate each other. They're both causing each other so many issues with their plans. They should just want to strike straight away. Connor walks straight up to Charles Lee, literally with only one thing on mind, to just smack talk him. What? I thought you wanted to assassinate this guy. Didn't Altair get kicked out of the Brotherhood for doing this shit? Anyway, they talk smack and then Connor goes into a chase to finally take out Charles. And this chase is pretty confusing. This mission gave me the most trouble in the entire game. You have to chase Charles through a beach ship, but things are blowing up as you're chasing him, so you have to adapt on the route you take. And I just couldn't do it for the longest time. Every time I would try to go a different way when something blows up, and then I'll just burn alive. Or I would find a route and then Charles Lee would be gone because I spent a literal second trying to figure out what the game was trying to get me to do. I must have restarted this mission, what, like 8 times? It's just a bit funky. It always feels like these games really start to show their cracks towards the end, like the developers are rushing to get through the title. To be fair, I get that. I kind of do it with my scripts. Anyway, eventually we catch up to Charles Lee and the ship collapses on the two. The boat puts it in Connor. Oh God, that's what that feels like? I'm a monster. Luckily, Connor does get a shot off on Charles Lee, and then the chase continues. They're both exhausted and they both end up getting to an inn. They share a moment and a drink, but no words are said, and Connor finally gets revenge. For what at this point? I don't know. At this point, I don't think Charles Lee actually did anything actively to hurt Connor. But whatever. Connor takes the key from Charles Lee's neck. Oh yeah, you know, the very important thing this whole game's about? We haven't seen this necklace since we were last playing as Haytham, 10 hours ago. I like the no words interaction between the two. They both know how it's going to play out, but I do feel like there should have been some dialogue. I mean, these two have been wrongly accusing each other for years at this point for stuff they didn't do. You think they'd maybe want to air out the dirty laundry before they start sticking things inside each other? While this is going on, Achilles passes away and we bury the key next to his grave. Connor then goes back to New York to see the Brits off who have lost the war. Once they leave, he sees that things ain't any better. Because straight away, after the bad guy leaves the land, he spots an American selling off slaves, showing that the Brits weren't the problem, it's the people. America has freedom now, and yet people are still being punished for just not having a voice or being worse off than other people. This messes with Connor, so he heads back to his village to find that everyone's packed up and left due to the new government claiming the land. Everything, and I mean everything Connor was working to protect, the innocent people, his village, it was all for nothing. He failed. He failed to make things better. He failed to bring the Assassins and Templars together. In a way, he failed to avenge his mother. Connor is probably the least successful assassin in the franchise. And it's brilliant because even though he goes through all of this, constantly messing up and constantly failing, he still vows to keep trying. He keeps trying to make things better. He keeps trying to help those without a voice. It's the one thing his dad and his other dad were so awe-inspired with. His determination and the fact that it never wavered. Yeah, Connor doesn't do anything great, but his character doesn't fluctuate with his principles, and that alone is a superpower. Anyway, that's Connor's story. Back to modern day. We now know where the key is, but before we can grab that, our dad got kidnapped by Vidic. You remember Vidic, right? He was the bad guy in AC 1 and 2 and then never showed up again till now. Vidic tells us to bring the apple to Abstergo in exchange for his father. I mean, it's pretty cool to revisit Abstergo, our old stomping ground from AC 1. But man, Vidic's an idiot. Once we get to him, we do the one thing for some reason he didn't expect us to do. Use the apple. Yeah, maybe asking the guy you tortured for ages and chased around the world and then kidnapped his father to bring an artifact to you in person that can control people on a whim. Wasn't the smartest idea, Vidic. So we save Dad and we head back to the vault. Pretty quick outing. With the key in hand, Desmond opens the vault, but before he can do what Juno wants, another precursor appears, Minerva, telling us that we can't do this. As yes, pressing the big blue button will save the world, but it will not only kill Desmond instantly, but released Juno into the world as she's hiding inside this tech. And she has a habit of wanting to enslave humanity. Juno shows Desmond the future if he chooses not to release her. He can either let the world burn and some will survive, including himself, and they can rebuild. Desmond will then later become a makeshift prophet who will claim that the world will end in the future due to the sun doing its thing, pumping out solar rays, because apparently it just keeps doing that now. And though civilization will one day get back to where it is now, when Desmond dies, he'll be disregarded as a false prophet, and wars will be waged just like they always do with religion, and the cycle will repeat until the sun explodes again, and we take it right back. It's an endless loop, an endless cycle. Or on the other hand, instead of doing what obviously doesn't work, we can free Juno, save the world as it is now, and then just find a way to sort out a literal god. Desmond decides to sacrifice himself and hope that the people can deal with Juno after he's gone. I like this ending, kinda. This correlates very well with Connor's story. Everyone tried to use Connor. He was a pawn, just like Desmond. The Patriots used him, the British used him, the Templars, the Assassins, everyone tried to get him to follow their ideals, never his own. And that was the thing. You're always in a lose-lose as Connor. The only way you win in that situation is that you just stick to your own idealism and not waver on that. And that's what both of them do. They stick to their guns and they put their faith in humanity, that humanity will rise to the challenge and be successful. It didn't work in Connor's time. The people were douchebags. But hopefully in Desmond's time, they will finally learn. It's two different cycles. It's just hoping one of them doesn't repeat. I think it's such good writing, but man, I hate the fact that for modern day story, we're done. If you've played the later titles, you get a few mentions, a few little tidbits, but the story kind of dies with Desmond here. And it's such a shame. Like I said at the start, I like having someone in the present look into the past to save the future. It's an interesting theme to me for a story, and it just stops here. I like that we get a conclusion at the very least to a story that's been getting dragged out for years. And the fact that Desmond dies isn't a problem to me. It's just the utter disdain the devs have for a modern day plot beat. That's the problem. They obviously just want to work on historical pieces. And going forward, that's pretty much all they do now, with no overarching plot. The rest of Desmond and Juno's story and what could possibly happen after AC3 was pushed to a comic book series. In terms of the game media, they're not connected anymore, which was the foundation of the first Assassin's Creed. The fact that we're all connected to our ancestors, like the Templars are connected to their idealism, the Assassins are connected by their idealism. It was all about connection. It's a shame that AC3 was the last one. But that said, AC3 is actually a truly exceptional game. I hate that I was so pissed off with this title growing up. I really don't understand why I had such distaste for this title. In fact, I rate it directly after AC2 in my tier list now, which this image right here is going to piss off a lot of people. But this is truly how I've enjoyed each of these titles. Connor deserved the robes that he wore. He's a fantastic assassin. He's right up there with the other greats. I don't know why he got so much hate and why I hated him so much. The remaster does some things right and some things very wrong, but didn't ruin my experience. So if you're able to play the original, I definitely recommend it. But if you're in a situation like me who has to play the remastered version, don't worry, it's still a good time. I have loved looking back at these titles in the Desmond saga. I have found new appreciation for the series, but now we're sailing into uncharted territory. As like I mentioned way back in my AC1 video, I stopped and never touched the series again after my dislike for AC3. So every game after this is a completely new experience for me. So that should be interesting. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. It's a very long one. I always give a major glaze to the guys who support me on Patreon. Thank you so much for the support. If you're not signed up and you would like to also get access to exclusive game reviews and updates on projects, as well as a shout out at the end of every single video, hit the link on screen and sign up today. Thank you, Pitstab, Ali Tato, The Shane 209, Chris Spicer, Critical Quacker, and Piotr Skalski. That's all from me, guys. Stay safe out there, and gents, as always, stay fashionable. Tie out. Peace.